Hey guys, welcome back. It's me and baby Colt here. I've gotten a bunch of emails from some moms after they watched my last video talking about how he's weaned at only 10 months. And they kind of wanted to know why and things they could do to prevent that happening with their own babies. So around this age, he's been crawling for a month and he's been on solids since about 4 or 5 months. So, but around 10 months, when they become a lot more mobile, they're crawling everywhere, it's like called the distracted phase. And they start to nurse less often, but also for less time as well. And so what that did to me was it just completely killed my supply for him to latch on and nurse for a minute and then stop. And, you know, he was just either distracted or just, you know, maybe he wanted solids or maybe he just didn't care to eat at that time. But either way, he killed my supply. So what can you do to kind of prevent that from happening or encourage baby to eat more? This is a prime time for, especially babies his age, to nurse throughout the night. Frequent night feedings. You may notice that he or she is waking up a lot more during the night. Those are really good times to get in good feeds, and I know we're all just dead tired throughout the night, and it's horrible to have to get up to feed baby, but this is really the time when they make up for what they missed during the day. So a lot of times we say that babies around this age have like drive-by nursing sessions where they might, you know, come to the breast and latch on for a minute or two and then, unlatch and then crawl away. And that's what was happening with him. And, you know, it really impacted my supply. And then when my supply went down, of course he didn't want to nurse anymore because there wasn't any more milk or enough milk. So I had to start supplementing with formula. And once I did that, it was just all downhill from there. And honestly, with him being my third, and you guys know he's my third baby with tongue ties, and I had to have the revision, and I've had problems breastfeeding all 3 of my boys. And honestly, I wasn't ready to give up. I'm really sad that he weaned, but I also wasn't ready to like pump after feeds or, you know, pump to try to get my supply back up. And that's what you can really do. If baby isn't having good feeds around this age, a couple of things. Make sure if they're eating solids, which at 10 months they probably are, make sure that you nurse before solids. That's the #1 golden rule about solids under the age of 1. Nurse beforehand. I usually wait at least 30 minutes to an hour before giving him solids after he nurses because I want to make sure it doesn't get too full. And especially if your baby is prone to reflux, you want to wait. I would wait even longer than a half hour, maybe closer to an hour before you give him lunch or breakfast or whatever. If it's just a snack, that's fine. So yeah, making sure you wait after they nurse to give them solids. Another thing you can do, you know, if you really see a good supply dip and you know that the baby's no longer satisfied at the breast and they're not getting a lot of milk out, pump after feeds, and then you can either put it in the fridge. If you think they'll eat it in the next few days, it's good in the fridge. The CDC recently changed their guidelines, but I'm pretty sure it's good for at least 4 days, maybe 5 or 6 before you freeze it. But double check on that for me. I'm not positive. They did recently change their recommendations. CDC.gov is where you can go to find out that information. And I'll try to link it below if I can find it. But anyways, so yeah, you want to pump after feeds because you still want to stimulate the breast. You still want the breast to think, okay, there's a baby there, and I need to keep making milk for him to eat. You kind of need to trick your body into thinking that baby is still nursing so that your body won't stop producing milk, which is what happened in my case. Pumping after feeds, and then also a lot of times if you have to it's hard to pump after feeds because it's like you have a million other things to do. But if you can't pump a lot after feeds, the one feeding that you really want to try to pump after would be your first morning feed, because that's when your supply is at its highest naturally, just due to your hormones. So after the first morning feeding, make sure you try to pump after that one if it's not a really good feeding. Or if it is, even if he latches and nurses for 10 to 15 minutes and you feel empty, still pump for 5 or 10 minutes just to keep that stimulation going, because like I said, that is when you may see more milk come out when you pump, and also that's just a good way to keep stimulation, to keep your body producing milk. There's a couple things people have asked me. One of his issues was teething. He would clamp down on me a lot, and at one time I had a really bad bite and it got infected and I couldn't feed him for 3.5 weeks. I did feed him, but it hurt so badly. I cried every time I fed him, and I pumped a couple of times, but even pumping hurt. So if you're having an issue with biting, it's really hard to sort of counter that, because babies are going to get teeth. So what you can do, obviously have lots of toys they can chew on around the house. You can make breast milk popsicles. I never did that, but I know a lot of moms that do. And just try to encourage ways for him to satisfy that urge to chew on something other than your breast or your nipple. And one thing you can do when he is nursing at the breast, if he does bite you, immediately unlatch him, say no, firmly say no, and then set him down on the floor. Wait 5 or 10 minutes, relatch him, and try to, see if he'll finish from there. If he does it again, same thing. Unlatch, firmly say no, set him on the floor. And it's all about repetition. The more you do this, he'll get used to it, and he'll realize, she's not going to feed me if I keep biting her. At least that's the hope. So yeah, the teething and the biting was an issue, and just everything all rolled into one. I honestly just didn't have the energy to kind of reverse the supply dip. And as much as I hated to do it, I wanted to breastfeed him throughout his toddler years, because the other two I had to wean early. But this one, it just... What's the matter? Look. But I guess with baby Colt, it just wasn't to be. And I'm still sad about that. It's been about 2.5 weeks. But, the other thing I would suggest is try your hardest, number 1. Number 2, don't quit on your worst day. And this is something my lactation consultant told me. And I think it's just golden. And then number 3, just try to be happy with whatever outcome you have. Breastfeeding, obviously, when our kids wean from the breast, it's obviously pretty sad for most women, because it's a way to bond with your baby. Goodness gracious, he's just talking up a storm today. But also try to remember they're growing, they're happy. It's a positive thing as well. I've gotten more sleep lately. If you have been following me, you know that I can only feed off the left side. So I'm working with one breast as it is. So that's another reason I've struggled with all 3 of my kids. But, now I don't have to worry about lopsided shirts. One boob is bigger than the other because, I'm breastfeeding off just one. And so there are some positives. There are some hormonal changes that I kind of forgot about and wasn't really prepared for. With Colt, I'm 10 months postpartum, and I haven't gotten my period yet. With the other 2, I got it at 7 weeks postpartum and 10 weeks postpartum. But with him, I still haven't gotten it yet. But I've noticed since I've weaned and he's decreased his feeds, I've been getting some cramps and just some hormonal changes that I recognize as a woman as sort of like PMS symptoms, or I'm getting ready to get my first postpartum period. So that sucks, but nothing you can do about that. That's nature. And really, this didn't happen with Bentley. he did not have this issue. We nursed all the way until, you know, he was 1, and the only reason I weaned is because I wanted to try to get pregnant with my 3rd. Otherwise, we would have continued. But I was also taking domperidone with Bentley, and I'm wondering if maybe, you know, this whole time with Colton, I haven't been on domperidone, but maybe I needed it, you know, maybe that was the only way I got to 12 months and would have gone further had I not weaned. Maybe that's the only way I got to as long as I did with Bentley, was because I was on the domperidone, the medication that causes women to make milk. So maybe that was a factor too. Whatever you decide to do, whatever happens, you know, find good support. There's a good group on Facebook, Sweet Drop Cafe, which I'm a part of, and my local IBCLC is the group owner, and there's a lot of great information in that group. La Leche League, which is free. You can email them, you can call them, you can attend free meetings, so that's a good source of support. And then, you know, on here, I'm not an expert, but I am a nurse, and I have breastfed 3 kids, so with a lot of issues, obviously. So yeah, if there's anything I can do, if you have any more questions, just keep emailing me, or you can add it in the comments below to see if other people have the same sort of question or the same situation going on, and I'll be happy to try to help you out. All right, now of course he's quiet when it's time to say goodbye, right? All right, guys, that's it for today, and we'll see you guys again soon. If you have any specific topics or any other questions, just keep emailing me. I do check it, you know, every day. And I'll have it in the link below if you don't know it. It's my, what is that called? Your name? I guess my channel name, Nolan Fellow, which is my name, at gmail.com. But I'll have it linked below. And I'll try to look up those CDC guidelines for you guys too and put those below as well. All right, see you guys later. Can you say bye? Bye, guys.